Okay, thank you, all the distinguished guests. So we have distinguished guests coming from Indonesia, coming from Singapore, coming from China and Hong Kong. So we were honored to be here to share some kind of the thoughts for medical tourism, also to a border area, maybe healthcare in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Southeast Asia. So let's just take some time to give a 1 minute very quickly introduction to our guests. So who we are, what do we do, so what are our businesses in Asia Pacific area. Okay, Carl, starting for you.
Thank you, Sunny. So my name's Carl. I'm a healthcare entrepreneur. My company, New Frontier, we are a integrated healthcare group based off headquartered of Hong Kong, but with operations across mainland China. We have 4 main business areas. One is integrated comprehensive care. We operate a brand called United Family Healthcare, which we run 11 international hospitals in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. We operate as a system. That means we were integrated from primary care to acute care to subspecialties such as cancer and fertilities and other sub areas. Our second segment is in rehabilitation care. We operate 22 rehab hospitals across about 8,500 beds. That's focused on neuro, post-orthopedics, ICU, HTU rehabilitation. Our third business areas is in home health. We currently operate about 60,000 home beds across China. And then lastly, in healthcare insurance services, where we operate both a health insurance product company as well as a health insurance broker company in China. So in the aggregate, we service about 12 million patients a year in China across about 70 cities across China. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you. My name is Agus. I came from Indonesia. So basically, I'm a 30 years experience in healthcare ecosystem. Before joining in the hospital business, I was working for manufacturer company, multinational company, such as Pfizer, Merck, and also Zulik Pharma. And then now I'm joining with the Bunda Medic Group as a president director. Just to give you a brief about the Bunda Medic ecosystem, we are healthcare ecosystem that not only running the business of hospital, but also we call it as the integrated or holistic family care. Yeah, from the embryo, from the IVF business, yeah, until the caring the family, yeah, in every phase of the life. So later on, I will share some vision and also some strategic business of the Bunda Medic.
Testing. Hi everyone, I'm Melvin. I'm from Singapore. I am the Group CEO for Thomson Medical Group. We are a hospital group, but also an IVF group. And our main pillars, hospital and ambulatory care, we have presence in Malaysia, in Singapore, and Vietnam. We have IVF clinics in Malaysia and Singapore as well. And we are growing a third pillar, which is technology. We believe that there's a lot of depth in the work that we do. And now with advancements in science, we're looking at things like cryopreservation, looking at metabolomics, AI vision for embryo selection. There's a huge depth of what we could do to move the needle on patient care. So that's our third arm that we are trying to grow. Personally, I'm a doctor by training. I got distracted. I previously had companies doing aeromedical evacuation. We had a clinic group. I had a teleradiology company in Germany. And also, actually, I had sold an electronic medical record company to a Hong Kong company, actually. So that was my previous life before becoming a hospital administrator, healthcare administrator. Very, very glad to be here, looking out for good conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, all the speakers. So about myself, very simply, a brief introduction about myself and Jinxin Fertility. I'm Sunny Dong. and the executive director, board director of the Jinxin Fertility. We list in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and we focus 90% in IVF business. And we have a hospital in multiple cities of China and Hong Kong, and also we have partnership with Indonesia partners, and we have a big business in California. So IVF is our focus. So we provide our high quality service to all the Chinese patients and US patients to help them to find one-stop solution to find the right way to having babies. So thank you so much for our speakers and audience to join this conference. So today's topic is about medical tourism. And right now we have the speaker from Singapore, Jakarta, and China, Hong Kong. I think we have a population here. We have the place here. Let me start from the first question for our partners. So there is, after COVID, so all the medical tourism changed. So we prepare quite a lot, especially for patients coming from Jakarta, coming from China. And I also know Agus set up the new clinic in Bali. So what is the trend from your perspective you're looking for next 1 or 2 years or even longer? How you prepare ourselves for the new trend of medical tourism? I guess this question is very relevant for the Banda Group because they just set up the one clinic in Bali during the COVID. So Agus, maybe you can share your view at first. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. This is very interesting question. Yes, as we aware that I think in the last 5 years, or 7 years, that medical tourism one of the trend topic, also especially in Indonesia. From the government point of view, the government also preparing how to attract the tourism, medical tourism by having in Bali, they built the special territory, and they built the hospital integrated with the hotel as well in the Sanur area in Bali. This is one of the initiative of the government. Also, the government give the incentive for private if they want to join to this initiative. From point of view of the Bunda Group, under one of our affiliate, we have one company, we call it Indonesia Medical Tourism Board. So basically, this company is focused on how to attract people come to Indonesia with the need to have a treatment of their disease. This will not happen without the partnership with the other partner. That's why one of the strategy by having partnership with Jinxin is just also to, beside the IVF initiative, also this is to introduce Bunda Medic in the outside of the Indonesia. So we see that the medical tourism is one of our strategy as our revenue stream, actually, Sunny. Thank you.
Thank you, Agus. So this is about from the perspective of Indonesia patient, right? So I also observed every year some of the Indonesia patient will fly out of Indonesia to Malaysia, to Singapore. I understand Melvin have some hospitals in Singapore and Malaysia. And our common goal is to provide the best quality of the healthcare service to our patients. So how you manage your business, Melvin, from your point of view, from the perspective of TMC, to receive the patient coming from Indonesia, also to establish maybe the two ways between the Indonesia partners and also the Singapore, Malaysia partners?
Yeah, I'll answer your question, and I'll also answer your previous question a little bit about how things have changed. So I'll talk about the patient, a doctor, the payer, and then
You're a doctor.
and then government. I'm a doctor by training. So patient. Firstly, after COVID, we saw a huge increase in patients utilizing healthcare. If you are an insurer, you will start to feel the pain because 2022, 2023, a lot of drawdown from health management organizations, from insurers. So insurers are starting to feel a lot of pressure because what they initially planned for, now they're seeing a lot more utilization. So I think, and because of that, they have moved into very interesting ways of trying to contain their cost. So the patients are also preferring not to travel out so much. We've actually seen a drop in Indonesia medical tourists to Singapore and Malaysia. Singapore definitely a little bit more than Malaysia because of the strong Singapore dollar. From Vietnam, medical tourists that usually would have come to Singapore, we saw about 20% year-on-year drop, 15 to 20% year-on-year. And a lot of them for more simple cases, gastroscopy, colonoscopy, for more simple procedures, would prefer to stay within their own country. And we see that the governments have been spending a lot more resources in improving infrastructure. So we see a lot of healthcare investment coming in from the government, which is good because that means the pie that the private sector can play is also great because the government will also have to invest in private sector as well. For the doctors, what I'm noticing is that in Southeast Asia, it used to be there's a difference between the quality of doctors and competency. We are starting to see that very much flatten. We're seeing very, very good doctors doing very complex procedures in Vietnam. In fact, we had a conference recently, and some of the Vietnamese techniques, that they brought to talk about to our Singapore doctors was very, very interesting as well, and vice versa. So I think that the competency has actually went up across the region. So it's now not so much of medical tourism in one direction, it's actually both directions. We're seeing both directions as well. So that's a very interesting thing. And the last one is actually the governments are participating a lot more. I think Park August talked about how the government actually have a agency to help with medical tourism to bring. Malaysia has similar. They have a MHTC, Malaysian Healthcare Tourism Council. So actually, I think for growth of medical tourism in the country, actually the government support and the open-mindedness is actually very important to building up that kind of stream. So yeah, thanks. Hope that answers.
Yeah, can I add, Sunny? I think 2 weeks ago I met Minister of Health of Indonesia, and then we are discussing specially on this topic. And then he mentioned is on top of the service excellence, how to attract the people come to our country is we need to have very advanced technology, yeah, as well as the resources in terms of the doctor, yeah, about the manpower. And then this is from the Minister of Health point of view, Indonesia still need to improve on this part, on the technology and also the manpower. That's why currently there is the policy previously who can produce specialists is only university-based. But currently, to accelerate producing the specialists, the Ministry of Health have very recently policy that hospital also, a private hospital, also can train from the general practice becoming the specialist. So Bunda is one of the private hospital that appointed by Ministry of Health becoming the hospital base to produce the specialist doctor. Yep.
Thank you for the insights from the government involvement, from the patient flow, coming from the two ways, right, the different locations. So Carl and I, we were more focused in the Chinese patients and also for the patient, the high-end patients coming out of China, outbound patients. So I understand, Carl, so your company, you are a very successful investor before and very successful entrepreneur now to operate healthcare operations. So when we help our patient looking for the best-in-class healthcare service in the world, how the company, how the group help the patient looking for the best. Between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, I understand we both have the facilities. So we also see a lot of patients coming out of Hong Kong and Shenzhen and China to even to Singapore, to Thailand, to Jakarta to find some solutions. How do you see this trend? How we prepare ourselves?
So I think, first of all, I think patient care, I think now it's becoming more of a global kind of trend and global service. And I think some of the biggest outbound trend that we've been seeing is in cancer care. So actually recently in the last kind of 3 to 5 years, we've been actually investing in kind of offshore cancer care. So started with ourselves building our Heru oncology platform in Hong Kong. And actually yesterday, we just completed the acquisition of Integrated Oncology Center, another acquisition from TBG, which significantly increased our presence in cancer care offshore. And the reason is, I think, obviously, within the Chinese system, drug approval is a different track compared to the overseas track. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, depending on the population and the trial itself. So by setting up these offshore platform, we had a few advantages. So number one, because Hong Kong operates as an offshore platform, so there's no FDA. So anything that's approved by the global agencies, you can immediately get it in Hong Kong. The second advantage, which I think is, I think medical tourism is actually multilateral, is because now that with the new Hong Kong FDA, NMPA is also considered a global agency. So actually in Hong Kong, you can also access the latest Chinese technology as well. So we're now seeing a little bit more from overseas tourism into Hong Kong. And then thirdly is we're now seeing, so Hong Kong has this special program called a named patient program, which basically allows our doctors to subscribe on behalf of our patients unregistered treatments, especially those in phase 2, phase 3 trials. So, as you know, cancer treatments is very much in the innovation phase, and the ability to get more technology, more services for our patient. I think this obviously helps. Actually, as we speak, we'll be announcing, this is a bit of a precursor, the launch of a new global medical tourism company, actually. So we're launching that in the 22nd of June in partnership with a few global hospitals in Shanghai. So hopefully by then I hope to invite you to our conference that talk about that. And this is precisely because our medical record is now already bilingual, and we're actually combining our triage pathway with, I'm not going to say who yet, but a few global hospitals, so that especially for serious and complex conditions, we could ultimately include the MDT, including our own offshore MDT from IOC and Heru, etc., into especially patient care. So I think this is obviously a major trend. However, I think the trend is both ways. So, for example, in the past we haven't really, to be honest, really think about kind of bringing patients onshore into China. That wasn't our focus until it's bit of an opportunistic event because we recently opened our Shenzhen hospital. And Shenzhen is quite close to Hong Kong. And initially, when we first opened, it was expected to service just Shenzhen patients. And then, towards end of last year, I think around September, we perhaps have about 1, 2, 3% patients that comes from Hong Kong. By December, it's 10%. And by now, it's 22%. And by the way, during those 6 months, it's a new hospital, right? So during those 6 months, our patient volume probably tripled because it's just a very low base. And with that, you can imagine kind of inbound tourism into China is happening quite quickly. And they go in for various reasons. The biggest is, again, cancer. And cancer drugs, for the equivalent, same manufacturer, same brand drugs, the price in Hong Kong, in China is a fifth of what our patients are getting in Hong Kong, so we're even cheaper than the public system. So they come to our cancer center in Hong Kong. It's under what we call integrated care by our oncologist, lead oncologist, tumor board, but also covering the Chinese option. So, and obviously cancer care is by far the biggest one, but also dental care, ophthalmology, urology, resume, or endoscopy, body checkup, etc. So I think the opportunity is huge, and because of the imbalance in medical resource in different parts of the world. In China, we're now getting significant surgery volumes going into China because there's a lot more subspecialization as well in some of the surgeons here. But at the same time, overseas innovative treatments, precision medicine, targeted therapy, immunotherapy, IVF, fertility, significant opportunities overseas. So as platform operators, we obviously focus on creating the best care for our patients, but facilitating these exchanges and movements will ultimately create better outcome for our patients.
Thank you for the insights. It's very important. You mentioned the collaboration between the doctors, MDT, and provides the best solution to patients. So let's let all of us to explore one possible topic. That is, so from the perspective of economics, the flow of the patient, flow of the knowledge, flow of the doctors is very key for us to optimize the resources allocation, right? So we can see even in Shanghai, we will do some MDT with some Singapore doctors. In Shenzhen, we also will do some MDT, even with the doctor coming from US. And our doctor in California, we visit China every quarter to see our patient, to do some seminars, and to promote the branding, promote the common understanding for the technology for IVF. So we have doctors coming from Singapore, Shenzhen, Shanghai, and Hong Kong, and Jakarta. And we also see the difference, the gap between the doctor trainings, how we lower down the gap between the doctor information, we can call it in general, that is information exchange cost. So doctors spend a lot of time. It's not only about language barrier, it's about the mechanism, how we lower down the cost for doctors, for the expert have the pharmaceutical background to exchange the information more effectively and efficiently. What we can do for that? So any gentleman can, yeah.
Okay, maybe I can start first because we are the largest employer of foreign doctors in China. So we have about 200 full-time US and UK doctors and Australian doctors working in our hospital group. And one of the kind of key investment that we've made very early on in our system is to make sure that our medical record, our system, our pharmacy is fully integrated on an international standard. So we kind of accredit them with CAP and other types of accreditation, JCI, etc. So that any medical record that comes out from our system, whether we're integrated into our Hong Kong platform or to Mayo Clinic or to Mass General or any other kind of global kind of, institutions, the reports is usable, transferable. They don't have to do more tests. It's English, and this is an investment that we make very, very early on, and that's why we managed to build our kind of, I guess, brand of being the trusted party to go to for international care. I think that's one, and I think secondly, we also send a lot of our fellows overseas on our funding, whether it's to Well Canal or to Sick Kids or to many of the Mayo Clinic, etc. This fosters exchanges as well. And then now we're building now our fifth hospital in Beijing, which is actually a research and academic hospital. So we're actually going to do conjoint appointments with some of these global universities, with local universities, and make this a teaching base. So there's a lot of kind of visible, invisible kind of linkage that you need to put in place and build through, and there's a lot of trust building as well, information exchanges, and then also medical record exchange has a lot of compliance restrictions, but it's definitely worthwhile investment in the long term.
I think a lot of it is building trust with the physicians. We spend a lot of efforts trying to get them to talk to each other.
That's the key, yeah. Starting point.
Starting from coffee to dinner to conferences, and then maybe shared practice, and then maybe referral schemes, and maybe even inter-country travel, so that they understand how different people work. And we even do it outside of the group. I think even in our Vietnam hospital, we had doctors from Malaysia, cardiology groups that come and do procedures, and there's a lot of information exchange. So I think it's the openness. I think it's very, very important for the healthcare industry to keep open. I think it is a very sensitive topic because once you have a very good healthcare system, you have a huge burden to not just take care of your local, but also the foreign patients as well. And then that tax and actually puts pressure on the system as well. But at the same time, you need to have innovation. So what the Greater Bay Area, Hong Kong is doing with the separate NMDA, right? NMDA, that is huge and is amazing opportunity to actually push the boundaries, and I think that will only bring more physicians to come and reduce that health information exchange barrier.
Yeah. Just want to share what Bunda Medic doing just recently a week ago during the 51st anniversary of Bunda Medic. We are initiating the event that we call it Health Connect. So we invite the several top speakers, KOL in Indonesia, with the different specialists, oncologists, hepatologists, and the other specialists. And then we invite the doctor, the general practice, as well as also the specialists. And we are very surprised that many doctors want to come to that event. And then there are more than 100 doctors in the waiting list cannot entering the room. Yeah. So based on that experience, that I agree with you that we need openness, yeah, open mind to confess that yes, we need some insight, yeah, and then we still have some gap, yeah, on the treatment. Currently in Bunda Medic, especially in the IVF, we also have a patient from the other country. And also based on the discussion between the doctor and then the patient, yeah, they see that the communication also the key of the doctor. And also the other issue is when the doctor have the capability to do the good communication, this also can increase the successful of the IVF as well. Yeah. So we need to have the more research on this. But I can see that the doctor that have many patients, one of the capability they have is communication. So I think openness and then communication is the key, yeah, to improve the doctor quality. Yeah.
Thank you, Agus. So we talking about how we exchange information, and with this backgrounds, we can more have some discussion and opportunity, not only about provides information, because the diagnosis information, consultation information results very key. Another piece of the item mentioned by Carl is about how it provides the best drugs, the best solutions as a whole, right? So Hong Kong maybe is a kind of hub, including Macau, including Jakarta. So as we talking about before, is how we introduce the best drugs from Europe, from US, from China, to Indonesia big markets. I know after COVID, a lot of investors coming from China, coming from US, enter into the Indonesia markets. So with this trend, you coming from Pfizer before, so you have a lot of expertise to how we find the good solution with the Banda Group, the network, to distribute the best solution, best drug to the best clinic, to find the right patient, right? So we do some investment in different areas. I guess Melvin also do some investment in kind of the biotech areas. So for this piece of the aspects, the pharmaceutical side, the pharma side, how we can better develop or invest or accumulate the best solution for our patients. Any point of view from you or from Melvin and Carl? Maybe starting from you. Indonesia is a big hot market for pharmaceutical.
Yeah, I am more than 20 years in pharmaceutical company, and then now I can see the future of pharmaceutical company is on the biotech. That's why what happening in the multinational company, for example, Pfizer and then Roche in Indonesia, they will only focus on the biopharma, like a specialty product for the oncologists and also the other product. But for the primary care product, they're looking for the third party in the Indonesia to marketing or promote the product. So back to your question about the trend, yeah, to have the good drugs, I think multinational company will survive if they have the very innovative and also targeted drugs. Yeah, if the product is only just like a mass product, the local company in Indonesia can produce it. Yeah, yeah. Even 80% of the raw material for the local company in Indonesia is we are still importing. Yeah, depending on the India and also the China. So I think for the specialty case, yeah, multinational company need to have the biopharmaceutical product. Yeah.
This is something quite close to my heart because I think that in Asia, in this part of the world, we are changing. Previously, we are only service companies. We are providing service. And all of us here, we compete on service product. And if we decide to use technology, we actually don't compete on the technology because the technology is someone develops it and uses it. I think we hope to see that, I think it's already starting in Asia, in China, and this part of the world where we are creating our own products for ourselves. And if we are able to use it and if we are able to market it out, give it to other people to use, democratize technology, it is the best for our patients, it's the best for us. In fact, these companies should be spin-off companies because they should be providing service companies with the weapons to treat disease. So I think for a company like ours, if therein lies why you need to build a profit center from R&D, because then the discipline and the structure of the corporate will drive the development of an idea or a process or a technology from bench to bedside. So I think that part is something that's important to make sure that we continue to move ahead. Because this is something that we have not done for a long time. And I think in America and Europe used to lead the way in a lot of innovation and technology creation. But I think, and we become users of that technology. But I think we are starting to see the trend where there is a lot of good innovation and technology coming out because of what we see and what we do. In fact, because of the openness of some parts of Asia, parts of China where you can have less regulations, you start to see more interesting innovations come up that you never see outside. And I think that is very, very precious.
Thank you. Carl, any insights about the Highland project?
I agree, and because I think a lot of, actually, I live in China and our group operates in China, and within China, a lot of the kind of user interface, patient experience, there's a lot of innovation that it's possible, and obviously the ones that you've heard for a long time is virtual, online care, offline care, integrated care. But I think it's going beyond that. So one is kind of bring AI assistants, co-pilots into consultations. This is happening. The technology is here. We've just recently introduced that as a co-pilot to our medical record system, to getting delivery of drugs within 30 minutes in cities that we operate. We're now integrating. We started as a healthcare company, but we're morphing into a health and insurance company because we're now taking capitation. But the way we take capitation is we extend our family medicine services and assign PCM, PCP into the members. And it's great for member experience, but at the same time, it's actually helped us to better cost control because of the primary care is now done through this kind of PCP relationship between the members and the doctors, and we are better at steerage, not necessarily to our own hospital, by the way, to yours, to many of the public systems as well. It's a better way to control costs. And I think the next biggest kind of opportunity, I think, is also in home. So today, our home visit volume is about 20x of our outpatient volume to our hospital. And I see huge opportunities, whether it's around fall detection, whether it's chronic disease management, or even in clinical trial, like real world data that you can monitor a lot more in this home environment. So our group is quite heavily invested into building a technology around that. But the opportunity sometimes is cross-dimensional. So it's sometimes within clinics, sometimes within insurance, sometimes within financing, sometimes within drug development. But the opportunity, I think, is huge. But it kind of requires someone to think outside of the box to figure out how it may work.
Should talk more.
Thank you, thank you. Due to the time constraints, so I think it's a very valuable opportunity for all of us here to discuss medical tourism, medical quality, and also the patient flow, doctor exchange information. So I think we are the CEO, chairman, board members of the company, the driver in the driver's seats. So the final question, let us all use maybe one or two sentences, couple of sentences to summarize. You mentioned the biggest opportunity. What is the biggest opportunity in the next year, this year? What is the biggest priority as a driver in your driver's seats? Let's close this topic with this statement, okay? Starting from Melvin?
I think I'm going to take a leaf from Carl because I actually do think that the data and having good, clean data using the co-pilots and is going to be very, very useful for us. The amount of information that we produce in our companies can probably give us a cure to many types of cancer. It's just that we haven't utilized it properly well enough. We should do more. Yeah, and that.
Yeah, thank you. From the Indonesia case, currently more than 1 million people per year going to the other country to have the treatment. And then from this number, more than 50% patients came from the Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. So what we need to do is our challenge. We need to prove to ourselves, internally, patient, local, that we have capability while we are build the business to attract the other people.
I'll keep it short. I think it's definitely technology. I think technology will change significantly the way patient care is delivered, whether it's within clinic, at home, post-care, post-treatment, prevention, etc. So, big focus for us.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for everyone. So about myself, I think it's also keep it very short. So biggest opportunity for IVF, definitely it's about the long-term penetration trend. The biggest and the most important priority for me is to invest constantly in the technology and doctor training. It will help to increase the awareness of patients, increase the success rate of the patients. So hope all of us can enjoy the conversation and the seminar organized by Hell House and the government of Macau. Thank you so much for all our guests coming. So we really honored and happy to be here. And thank you so much for sharing all of the insights here. So happy to meet all of you. Thank you so much.